Good
Hey,
morning.
good morning. Go
What's
ahead.
happening, brother? What are you
Nothing
doing?
much, man.
Are you having any fun?
I'm having a little bit of fun this morning. Yep. Always wrestling with my six-year-old, getting her to kindergarten is always fun.
Yeah. Still cold there?
It is. I just tried to open the window to get a little air in this office area, and it's frozen shut. It's 16 below right now. Yep.
Man, that's tough, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Man, that's tough. You know what? When that intro was playing, I thought to myself, you know what that intro needs?
Huh.
Well, absolutely nothing. One of those deep voices going, "The Morning Mayhem Show."
Yeah, we can do it. I'll do it. I'll figure it out.
That was the voice. Hey, Jane Aldrich, thank you so much for your never-ending support and love, Jane. You're fantastic. Paula D. Penley's here. Blessed to Crochet. Jane's in the house. Galen, how are you? Auntie Monkey Pants. Kylie is here. Boy, if we got crap to talk about, Casper, or what? Blessed to Crochet. This is an exciting time to be doing what we are doing. Telephone Tough Guy. Not sure if I've ever said hello to a Telephone Tough Guy. Good to have you here. Panda 3000. Blessed to Crochet is back. AV Stevie.
Settle.
Oi. Cassandra. Anna Banana. Mariana Wagoner. Good to have you in the house. Love Mama Bear. Sherry LeBron. Good to have you here. Let's see. Justine. Alexina. I like that. Alexina Phillips. Listening to you guys while I am at work. That's getting over on them. I love it. Jackie Azur, good to see you. I love people listening at work. Anka, Robert Hall, Wendy, how you doing? Let's fire this thing up. Feisty Kitty. I want to call you Feisty Irish. I've been calling somebody that for so long. We had a Feisty Irish forever. So when I read Feisty, my brain just. So did you happen to see anything fun this morning about old Voldemort? You know what? I think we could start calling him Jay-Z.
Is that right? Is he starting to drop some lawsuits?
think we might be able to start calling that cat Jay-Z.
Yeah.
That big lawsuit, folks, the big lawsuit that Jay-Z filed against Tony Busby. You remember? He came out, all those guns blazing. He was going to show that dude. You don't push around Voldemort, damn it. Don't you know who I am? I've won more Grammys than anybody on earth. Well, they just pulled that lawsuit. Just decided that maybe it would be a better idea if they didn't sue Tony Busby. You know what? Do this one here, everybody. I want to tell you something. I'm not shocked. I guess I'm not shocked. I don't know. I was shocked when I first read it, but the more you think about it, how would you like to go in front of a judge, Casper, with a lawsuit and go, "Hey, I'm suing this guy. Why? Because he's a piece of crap. You know, the guy, he's dirty. He's doing all these things." And then the guy you're suing goes, Didn't you just send a bunch of people down here with fake badges? I mean, that's the same lawsuit, allegedly, right? I think his lawyer probably sat him down and said, "Bro, you sent people down with fake badges. If we go into that court, you're going to get slapped back to the Stone Age." That would be the most uncomfortable position to be in a court. You're doing tampering and crap with court stuff, and you're going to court on your own volition and then doing that. I think it's hysterical. I also think he's probably trying to keep his powder dry. Know what I mean? I think there's a lot coming down the pike, and I think we might hear about it today, but I don't think he has time to be worrying about whether or not this lawsuit is going to go through or not. See, you try to keep that first one out of the press, but if you think there might be 5 or 6 more that are about to drop, probably don't want to waste any more money trying to keep that first one out of the papers. And allegedly, there's some stuff about to happen.
Yeah, so I think I agree with what you said when you and I were talking off the air. Was that he wants to focus his lawyers on what's about to happen. The you know what I mean? All these little things for your ego or to try to protect your name that's not going to be able to be protected or salvaged or all of the above.
100%. I think you nailed it I think that you really nailed it because I think that was an ego lawsuit. I don't even think it was. I don't think it was a lawsuit for any other reason other than you hurt that dude's ego. How dare you come at me? When he came out, he goes, "What do you call him? He's an ambulance chaser in a cheap suit." He's a 1-800 ambulance chaser. He called him a trailer park lawyer. Like all of these harsh, statements.
Pretty expensive suits for a trailer park lawyer.
I was about to say, dude, one of the best cheap suits I've ever seen. When he first said that, I thought this guy's probably dropping $3 or $4 grand on a suit. But to Jay-Z, that dude's wearing cheap suits. It's like it shows you how far he's come from Flatbush, right?
Yeah.
In his mind, that probably is a cheap suit.
Yeah, but he probably had Beyonce in his ear too. We're married. Well, I'm married, and if I was getting accused of this or a lawsuit on that, my wife would be, you better stand up for yourself. Right? If I wasn't already. So there's probably lots of factors.
There's probably a lot going on behind it. No, Jackie, we're not doing that. That is a YouTube thing. Chat doesn't come up if you play us on the television. However, Casper's way better looking on a big screen. I have found that on a small phone, you just don't get the appreciation for how damn good looking the guy is. And that's
you get to see all my scars, my battle scars.
You know what? I've got some since
acne scars.
Last time we saw each other. I got one really good one across my nose. I got one coming down here. Yeah, when you see me in person, I've changed up a bit since then.
Well, yeah, because you got to start acting right, man. If you don't act right,
I have not caught a fresh scar in going on over a decade, about 12 years since I got any, especially facial ones.
That's crazy.
I've been pretty good that way.
What a mess. What?
A hot one, absolute hot mess.
Yeah.
So, there was something else that Job. So yesterday, we were talking about the Macron thing. So
yes.
Macron wrote her another letter.
I was going to watch that. I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, he wrote the YouTuber another letter. And I've watched it. I'm putting together something that there's no way to do it now. And here's the thing, people. Casper can tell you, I'm a freak with the ability to memorize things. However, if you're trying to memorize someone who's a freak with the ability to memorize things, that woman talks faster than I do. And there's no filler. There's no filler. The woman that broke the story talks. So normally I do all this stuff at double speed. And if you listen to her at double speed, my mind can't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Candace is sharp, man. She's sharp.
And she's just, and here's the other thing. So Casper and I, we're working without a net. We come in here, and that's most YouTubers. However, when you really get up to the upper echelon, I was watching her yesterday, and you know how I go, what the hell is that? What was the name of that girl from? There's a person in the ear that goes, her name was Virginia. Virginia. Eventually, maybe we'll get to that point. But the thing is, you never hear her call for it. I saw her do it the other day. I never thought she even had an earpiece in, but the other day she said, I can't remember if that's the right name. Tell me my earpiece. And I went, holy crap. Because she doesn't look like she's doing it at all. But they have teleprompters. She's using a teleprompter, but she's not reading off a teleprompter, right? As a public speaker that you can use just your bullet points. So, you go through your intro, it'll say intro, and then it'll go through just so that if you start doing this number, you ever been in the middle of a conversation and go, what the hell was I talking about?
Yeah, all the time.
There's nothing more fun than being on stage with like 6,000 people watching you. And you go, I have no idea what I was just talking about. I could have been at the beginning of that show or the end of it. I'd start thinking about whether or not I bought, my battery is running low. Whether or not I bought milk earlier that day and stuff. Johnny Scoville, you lousy no good. Sorry, 1 second. Don't try this at home.
Your batteries in your headphones running out?
No. It was the battery over on my second computer must have been unplugged. This is my touch screen. This is the one where I can. No, I'm good. So, what do we got? Let's talk about something funny. I could use a laugh.
Okay, I do have something funny in the hopper. So, it's funny to an extent. So this guy's eating a Philly cheesesteak sandwich at this diner in Philadelphia, and lo and behold, a block away, a plane drops out of the sky. And I first I want to just say I'm not making light of the plane crash.
Of course not.
There's 3 people that are in critical condition. We lost 22 souls in that plane crash. And there's a bunch of injured people, and I'm not.
And we're on a bad
but,
run too.
Yeah,
we're just on a bad run.
Yeah, it just, it happens in threes. I've talked about it before. I don't fly after a plane crash because it happens in threes. Maybe after the second one, I might start flying again. But I've canceled a flight before because we had just had a plane crash.
Do you remember when the 737s, the Boeing 737, their newest one, when there were all of those problems, the Air Max, when they had all of those problems,
or
I was flying on one of those planes,
or
right
Airbus,
after, I swear,
Supermax, Airbus,
right after the crashes, we were on one of those, and the pilot comes on, I'm not joking, and says, "This is the message you never want to have to talk to your passengers about, but this plane is having problems, and we're probably not going to land this thing safely." And I'm sitting in an exit row because I got long feet. And they came over, and it was the first time I've ever heard what the actual instructions are, because I went through all of the instructions on what's going to happen when this thing hits the ground and we crash. We didn't have control of the back, so the thing was doing this number. It was the rudder and the back thing that was giving problems to the plane, but it scared the shit out of me. And the funniest part of that story is when the plane landed, right, it ended up being a fairly safe landing, but we didn't know because so we came in like this, and when it hit down, it went up, and then it hit. And it wasn't like your normal landing. The plane skidded and everything else, but no one got hurt. And as we're sitting on the plane, I'm not kidding. They come on and they said, "And for those continuing on this flight to Denver," and the whole plane just erupts with laughter. Like everybody on there was terrified, and they needed something to laugh at. "For those continuing on this flight, are you shitting me?" And when they let us off, they didn't let us into the terminal. I found that fascinating. They wouldn't let us into the airport where everyone else is because they didn't want everyone running out going, "Oh my God, that plane almost." So they took us through a whole different section, and they opened up a room where there was snacks and booze and anything you could want to eat and everything else, while they came around and gave out vouchers for free free flights. Yeah, they control that crap. It's not something that it wasn't the first time they had done it, for sure.
The
airplane stuff is scary. I've only flown 2 times in my life. Thought about this crap the whole time. It's how many times have you been on Con Air and heard the dude next to you go, "Dude, have you flown before?" "I've never been on one of these things."
Almost every time
has never flown. Half that plane has never been on an airplane.
Yep. That's actually kind of telling about
it is, isn't it?
Yeah. So anyway, so this guy's eating a Philly cheesesteak, and the crash happens, and he gets hit in the head. He's okay. He didn't get hurt too bad, but I got a quick little video of it. It's pretty funny. It happens pretty quick, but I have it on loop.
The screen. Oh, bam. Run it back.
Did you see that?
I did. He's inside?
Huh?
So I thought this would have been an outdoor cafe. So he's inside a restaurant?
He's inside a restaurant.
Oh God, that's a bad day.
Here we go. Watch. Bam.
Holy crap. Takes the hat off the top of his head like he got shot. Holy crap.
Pulls the hat right off his head, man. And but everyone gets down because they think they're getting attacked.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they hear an explosion. Stuff's coming flying through the glass. But just think how scary that would be. But the guy's okay. He did a little interview. I couldn't find the interview that I seen yesterday, but yeah, pretty scary. Bam.
You know what? Yeah, you can see the way that hat comes off and the way his hand goes up. It didn't catch him solid.
Yeah.
You get caught solid in the head, your hand ain't going up there for a hot minute.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're doing this number, yeah, that sort of grazed him. Took the hat off the top of his
head.
He
can join the Donald Trump Lucky Club for being.
I'm telling you what, and everybody else in that room. But I kind of got to give a hats off. Can you play that one more time? I kind of got to give a hats off to every other person in there. Because I'll tell you what, people, we talk a lot about this on the boat, or used to anyway, but like situational awareness. You see how fast everybody starts doing shit? That's what you're supposed to do, right? You start hearing noises like that. Don't get all curious. Get all low, right? The people that end up losing their lives are the people that are turning around looking for stuff with phones. Get low.
Yeah.
If you hear anything like that, and I'm a freak about restaurants. I know it bums out Reese sometimes, although I'll be honest, Reese is super understanding. She's actually been really, I can't say that. She's been really cool about it. But I know that there have been times that she's had to make accommodations. I'm not joking. I cannot sit in certain places in restaurants because it drives me nuts. I can't stand people walking behind me when I eat. If that happened to you in prison, it wasn't a good thing, right? Anybody walks behind you while you're eating, you're about to get hit. There's a respect thing about stuff like that. And you, after 14, 13 years of doing that, like I hated the chow hall. I don't like places where that many people are gathering, kind of as a rule of thumb. But if I'm going to be sitting and eating, I kind of like to be able to see the room.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a crowd noise of just being in a large crowd. You mean like a crowd like this?
Yeah. It's just, it's what, if I kind of know the, I mean, I'm not trying to sound like I'm agoraphobic or I'm antisocial or any of those things. It's just we live in really weird times. So I'm fond of I like situations. I love being in a room full of people when I know why they're all there. Like I go to Pepper shows and it's a hoot because everybody there is there kind of for the same reason. And everybody, it's controlled madness. Like I couldn't go to Mardi Gras. Even if you said to me, look, when it's over, dude, we're going to give you a Ferrari. I'd be like, I don't know, man. The Prius is pretty damn cool. You know what I mean? I even got a lifeboat license plate. I don't think I really need to go I don't think I need the Ferrari. I can't do crowds like that anymore at all. There was a time I loved it, but I think it had a lot more to do with all of the dope that I had in my body because it's just an uncomfortable feeling. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I think you make a good point too about the fact that none of the people on Con Air have been on a plane. It gets back to, I mean, I'm not sure if you've ever read this. You probably have. But the way that they decide how many prison cells that they're going to build in the United States, like, they have to hire actuaries and these smart people to figure out how do you know how many cells to build? What if you don't have enough? What if you have too many or whatever? They check illiteracy rates in the 4th grade and take that into account for where those people are going to be when they're 18 to 25. And they build the number of jail cells built off of the illiteracy rates in the 4th grade, which would make you wonder why we don't just make sure 4th graders can read, right? It would be a hell of a lot cheaper than building prison cells.
Yeah, that's
honestly
crazy.
how we do it. Yeah, you've never read that? That's a fact. That is an absolute fact.
I believe you. I mean,
that's scary as shit.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make sure our kids can read in the 4th grade. Yeah, easy fix.
Easy fix. Now, there are guys like us where, there are anomalies, but you knew you were an anomaly when you were in there. You and I had talked about this. And I'm not being an elitist or any of that stuff, but you meet people and you talk to them and you know that for a lot of the people in there, they're not in there because they're in there because they had so little education and they had so little opportunity that they took whatever, they could run with. I mean, I've had 5 cellies who couldn't read. Didn't have the ability to at all. And, I look at someone like that and I think, not that it's a lock, not that anybody who can't read, but I could see why with the inability to read, this has got to be a terrifying planet. We take it for granted, but think all the signs and everything that you look at and, things in front of restaurants, that's just everywhere. Street signs. Yeah. It's terrifying. Terrifying.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Also in sports news, I guess the NFL has had a change of heart with their wokeness. They're going to stop putting end racism in the end zones. They are replacing it with something. And I was wondering that. I was like, man, what are they going to replace it with? And guess what they're replacing it with?
Kill Whitey.
No, that's what they should replace it with. Choose love.
No way.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
Choose love. So and it makes sense because I get it, end racism is a great thing. That's a great thing. But I think when you are when you keep that the conversation instead of just
you're highlighting a negative.
Yeah, it's you're highlighting the negative that racism exists. Yes, it exists. Does it exist as much as that the woke people think it is? I don't think so. Myself, I had a African American president with his foot on my neck for 8 years,
several terms.
So, I don't think it's that bad, but you get what I'm saying, you know. So yeah,
I think it's a great
decided
switch
to go with choose love. You know what? I think a lot of people would be like, "What does that even mean?" You know, but it's something that we talk about. Choose love over hate, for sure. So yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting.
I love that more than anything I could possibly. You know, I think they're for me they're a day late and a dollar short. But it's a great example of just in life. If you're trying to stay sober, if you're trying to walk a good path, not even stay sober, but in recovery, if you're trying to be the best version of you can be, if you strive toward loving people instead of not hating people, you're going to do an awful lot better. And my problem with that whole movement, and here's where I lost my mind, because I believe we have a racism problem. I think, of course, we do. To say that it is inherited, right? That we are inherently racist, bullshit. I've been around kids my entire life, man. I've watched so many kids. My mom used to own daycare centers when we were kids. And you drop any nationality of kid in the entire world together, they don't see it. They have no idea. They have no idea. They don't care. That has to be taught. Racism, that ignorance is not handed down in the blood. It's taught by ignorant people. So when we're talking about, you know, people of any color who are born hating other races, you can't sell me that. It's not going to happen. That's what but I love the idea that it says, you know, that sounds like move closer to love to me. The NFL, I'll tell you what, I'll stop bad mouthing them. I'm not going to watch them for a little bit. Bad mouthing them. Chameleon, good to see you.
But you know,
for a very important
it is one of those things. Like I do have to be careful what I say around my daughter, because my sense of humor could seem racist a little bit, and I'm aware of that. You know, but it just comes from being in the joint for so long. You know,
there's a hangover from it.
There's so much segregation, and we joke a lot. We joke around a lot about race. I mean, we don't think the N-word is funny or anything like that, but you know, just funny little, you know, things that we say or do. And I have to be careful and I always know when my wife gives me that look that I've said something that, you know, could,
you went a bit off the rails.
Yeah. You know, might plant a seed in my daughter, cause my daughter hears everything, dude. She hears everything. You
want to hear a funny story? Have you ever heard of the Fresh Air program? So in a lot of big cities, in New York in particular, there are kids that grow up that just don't see grass. They don't see trees. Like they live in, you know, in the middle of a concrete jungle kind of thing. And they started something called the Fresh Air program, and they would send kids from the middle of Manhattan or the middle of Brooklyn or the Bronx to New Hampshire or Vermont or Connecticut. And they would spend, you know, a month with a white family in the summer. And we had a girl that came every single summer. Her name was Alicia. We called her Lisi. And she came every summer my whole life, like probably from the time I was about 10 to the time I was about 18. She's still a close family friend. But we were all watching television, and Abraham Lincoln came on, and she said, "Oh, I love Abraham Lincoln. He did a lot of really great things for the black people." And my mom said he did a lot of good things for white people too. And she goes, "Yeah, but I don't like white people." My mother went, "You don't like white people?" And I kind of looked at her, and she goes, "No." And she said, "Lisi, I'm white." And her head cocked. I swear to God, she went, "You are?" And my mom said, "Yeah." Like, honestly, so when my dad came home, she used to call my dad Papa Moose. So when he came walking through the door, she goes, "What about Papa Moose? Is he white too?" And it was a family joke forever. Like, till my dad died, we would drop it on him all the time. How about him? Is he white too? But they don't see it. They're colorblind. There's none of that. There's no hatred. It's not something, but someone taught her that because she wasn't seeing it. As far as she was concerned on looking at us, we were the exact same person. That seed had been planted, right? She had heard that, and probably I'm sure there was a lot of good reason behind it, but we certainly overcame it. We're still family friends.
Yeah.
But it was a cool program. It really was. And usually, like, we lived in a super small town, and there were like probably 9 families in the town that did it, right? So we had all for, you know, a month in the summer. This town that had never seen anybody black ever had like 9 residents that were black every summer, and it was just cool as hell. It was a great idea. It brought people together. It was connection. It was just a super cool concept. I don't know if they still do it or not, but
oh wow!
Shut up.
Well, it looks
You
like
know what?
we're gonna get into the Diddy. Oh, nope, you changed the question.
Just 1 second. We are
Okay.
we are raised racist. I grew up hearing off-color humor out of my father, not knowing how hurtful that was until I became an adult. I didn't know I was being racist. Here's the thing, though. You have any idea how fantastic a world it is where someone says that out loud with their name next to it, right? It's to be able to say, you know what, I was taught things when I was younger that I didn't realize how bad they were, and I've learned and moved on. And people don't say things like you just said out loud, even typing it. No one ever wants to admit that they were wrong at any point in their life for any reason. I'm so impressed by the crew. I really am, man. We don't have a normal audience, and I mean that in the best of ways, but we do not have a normal audience. Good. Give us some Diddy. What do we got? Nothing like a little. I want to tell you something, man. When I woke up this morning, and I hate going to bed and I love waking up. I tell everybody that, but I got up this morning at 4 a.m. and I have a routine I do not vary from. And I went to the computer. Like I varied my entire routine because I am waiting for this Voldemort thing and the Jay-Z thing. I'm having a good time, man. It's good to be doing this at this time. It's fun. All right, what do we got? In the Diddyverse, you know that there were 2 lawsuits that dropped yesterday.
Yes.
And this is they're beating up our president as much as they can because his name is attached to this because he owns a hotel that the penthouse of which was used for 2 of these assaults. I assume, and I know that assuming is a bad idea, but I assume that these assaults took place at the same time. If you read the lawsuits, they read verbatim. I mean, the only difference is that one girl said she was harassed by security, and then they took her from the Limelight, a nightclub, up to the penthouse of well, we're not monetized, the Trump International in Manhattan. So 2 women were taken up to the top floor. You know, if you drop his name, they just bury your videos.
For real?
Although it's for real, because for so long there were just so many. There's a lot of when they were trying to destroy the dude on here, every story. I mean, when something gets too out there, it's like the lasagna stuff. Once they start to ban words in the algorithm, it gets ugly. There's a big. You would not believe the list.
I was wondering this last night, because I see like Law and Crime, A&E, they'll put CP in their titles. They'll put the R word in their titles, and they got millions of views. So is it a different standard if they have so many subscribers, or because of the kind of channel they are?
What happens is this: that channel has grown past where the algorithm is out searching for stuff. People are out searching for that, no matter what they're going to put up. In the beginning, they didn't push the envelope as far as they do. But when you're getting 3 or 4 million views on a show, you can let the algorithm push you a little less. I mean, there's no way they could shadow ban them. There's so much. I mean, there are so many people. There's nobody bigger, right? They're the king in terms of true crime, like him or not. That's the king. And you know what? I like everybody on there. I really do. I think it's a good program. I think they're cautious as hell, and you have to be that big. And when you're that cautious, you tend not to give out some opinions that seem so obvious to me. There's stuff that they just don't talk about.
Yeah,
but
I check. I know what you mean.
Yeah, they're a little soft. I'm not joking whatsoever. When we talked about the G being in the baby oil bottles, it was weeks after we talked about that they finally began to. But without them, you know what I mean? Like all of those people, I view AA and NA the same way. I don't teach any of that stuff. I'm not a 12-step kind of a program. However, without 12-step programs, none of us are here talking, because I wouldn't be sober. You wouldn't be sober. No matter how you get sober, just the belief that you can was created through that 12-step program. Prior to that, even the medical community, prior to that, their response was keep them away from motor vehicles, right? Don't let them get near a pew because they're gonna drink themselves to death or smoke themselves to death or snort themselves to death or whatever they were doing. I got another thing I want to bring up, just because I want to see how bad people in here freak out about it. I mean, for real, this is test balloon. There's a road I want to go down. I'm fascinated by this so much I can't explain it. I lived in Salt Lake City for a long time, and I'm a skier, right? So Salt Lake that's a big town in my life. I spent a lot of time there. My kids spent a lot of time there. I still have family in that part of the world. The Mormon Church, to me, is one of the most fascinating institutions in America. And I know you can get into a shitstorm of people hating on you when you start talking about churches of any kind, but there's some fascinating stuff coming out about that church, and I really want to cover it. I just I don't want the wrath. You do? Because I want to tell you something. Let's dive into it a little bit. You want to hear some fun? So
yeah.
So the Book of Mormon is the Salt Lake City is the capital of MLM scams. No, Provo is the capital of MLM scams. If we're going to be technical, Kristen Melinda, it's Provo, not Salt Lake.
Just south of Salt Lake. Yeah,
that's one of the reasons that I lived there. I lived in Salt Lake. I worked in Provo.
I lived in Ogden. Went to jail in Salt Lake.
I had an office in Ogden too. So you went to Point of the Mountain?
Oh yeah.
Did you do time or just? Oh, nice.
Oh no, I didn't. No, I just was just in the county jail, Davis County, actually.
Oh, good.
But
good. Point of the Mountains, no bueno.
I was going to go to the Point of the Mountain or to the Okers, wherever it was headed, and my time ran out. I didn't get to make it. Yeah, because I was getting good time in Weber County Jail.
Yep.
They sent me up there, and the jail calculated my time to where I missed the bus. You know.
Yeah, you got lucky. The money alone in the Mormon Church is crazy. Okay, well, let me tell you a little bit, just a little quick history. So, obviously, we know that Joseph Smith found these plates, and he was really he was really a treasure hunter, right? But then he has this vision. He goes and finds these plates. He translates the plates. The plates are then, I don't know, gone. But after translating these plates, he writes the Book of Mormon, and they keep moving west. There are other books that are part of this religion. There's the Pearls of Wisdom, but there's they have something, I think it's called the Book of Abraham, if I'm not mistaken, which is not from the gold plates. The Book of Abraham was translated from some Egyptian hieroglyphic stuff that that they had discovered or whatever, and Joseph Smith translated it. When he was translating this, he was unaware of the fact that the Rosetta Stone had already been found. Now, if you're not familiar with the Rosetta Stone, it was like a proclamation kind of a thing, you know, where it was such an important piece of news that they had it up there in 3 different languages. And one of the languages was hieroglyphic. The other was like cursive hieroglyphics, so to speak. And then it was whatever Latin or whatever or Greek or whatever they were speaking at the time. And that became the ability to translate hieroglyphics. But what's his name didn't know that was out there. So he wrote this entire book, the Book of Abraham, by translating this. Well, they found that original piece and they can now translate it. It actually happened in like 2014, but it's kind of been buried. And the church now, in their doctrine, admit that he couldn't translate that because they get this piece of papyrus and they translate it and it says something like, hey, there's a party at Tony's on Thursday. Bring your own camel and your own hooch. We will be smoking hookah. Just bad juju. Now, look, say what you will. This is a difficult thing for a church when you find out that, this at least is absolute BS and there's no way around it. That's a con. So now you know what the church has said. And I love this, dude. Like, this is tap dancing. Like, tell me if you don't love this. What they said was, no. What happened is he got the hieroglyphics, right? And it was divine inspiration. It was divine inspiration. Yes. From the little piece of paper that said 50% off all camel sales on Thursday. Right, the flyer that he translated into some kind of a religious thing that has nothing to do with it. The church has admitted that it was BS, but it inspired what ended up being the holy text. That's an issue, man. Like and I get it, but I mean, now what you're having to do is say, I'm just going to continue to believe, because like everything else we talk about, if one of the pillars that holds up the whole thing is a lie, you got to start wondering about those other pillars. If he would bullshit the whole third book, maybe he bullshitted that first one too. That, and you know what an anachronism is? Where something's out of date. Of course you do. You were in films, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you got a guy that's using a cell phone in 1955, that's a problem, right? That kind of thing. Well, they make reference to glass a lot. He keeps talking about glass as he's translating this stuff, but would have been a wee bit of time before glass had been invented. You know, he wasn't a very educated cat. But here's the thing: would you guys go nuts if we did a great big show on there? Because I really would like to.
I would too. I'm listening. I'm gonna go make a cup of coffee.
Make it a big one.
Yep, it's just super close. I keep yawning, and I don't want to like put the audience to sleep either. So okay, I'll be right back.
Extra cream, extra sugar. Make it a Cadillac.
That's right.
All right, good. I'm glad to hear that you guys. I'm glad to hear you guys aren't going to freak out if I do it. Here's the thing I want you to know, and I will lead with this, and I'm dead serious. I love the Mormon culture. I didn't move to Salt Lake City because I hated Mormons and I love the Mormon culture. I love the fact that they take one day a week for family. There is so much about what they do that I think I think we could learn a lot in a lot of ways from how the LDS people live. However, there's so much crazy stuff that's coming out. So I don't know whether or not you've heard this, but somebody got a camera inside a temple service. You know, the temple ceilings and stuff that they do inside. So maybe there are multiple levels of heaven in the Mormon faith. And to get to the very top one, right, you have to be sealed in marriage in the temple. And then you and your wife can attain that top level together. But you can't just get married. Like if you do it at a justice of the peace, you're screwed. And a girl has to remain, a virgin in order to be able to be sealed in the temple. And there's a bunch of other stuff that they all have to do or whatever. But they were able to get in there and record one of them. And I was reading all of the comments about it afterwards. And I was fascinated as I read the comments, because one of the guys wrote, "I'm not Mormon. I've never been in a Mormon temple. I've never been in a Mormon church, but I just chanted along with everything that they were saying in that ceremony. Because everything that they were saying in that ceremony was lifted wholesale, not pieces and parts, wholesale, lifted from a Freemason ceremony that Joseph Smith just threw in there." Yeah. Now, if I've been to the temple downtown, I can't tell you how many times. I've been to the Zion building. I've been to all those buildings downtown because I lived there. The Deseret building. And when you go down, there are Freemason symbols along the top of every one of those buildings, including the temple. If you look at their holy underwear, see, people are going to give me crap for that, but I can't remember what they're called. They wear this underwear that's like garments. They're holy garments that they wear. The women wear one and the men wear one. The women wear one that's split from the belly button to about halfway up the back. So you got full access to the business. The guys wear basically what looks like a pair of boxer shorts and a t-shirt that are all one piece. But if you look at them, and I know this because when I was a public speaker, there were three of us that worked together all times, and one of them was a Mormon. The best of the speakers was a Mormon dude, and he wore this holy underwear every day, and there was a mark over each nipple, and both of them were. I said to him, "What are those things?" And he was like, "Well, they're just they're marks from the church." I was like, "They're from Freemasonry. Like both of those marks are just from the Freemason stuff." But the guy stole an awful lot of everything. There's no getting around that, right? He thieved a lot of that religion, and that part of them, I don't know that I'm particularly angry about. But the doctrine of the church alone is kind of kooky. But I would like to definitely dive into it. The men have so much control in that church over women. It's
yeah. I have some friends. Really well. I don't know if we've had a falling out. I don't know. But he won't communicate with me. But a friend who I was really close with up until recently, his family they're the biggest Mormon family here in the surrounding area, and they own an auto auction and a cattle ranch and stuff here, and but super cool guy, and I need to reach out to him, see what's going on, but they're pretty Mormon, and we go to their house for Christmas, and it's a good time. They have a lot of grandkids, and but man, there's more pictures of Jesus in their house than I've ever seen in any Christian's house.
Well, they're pivoting now, big time to that.
Man, oh man! I mean, beautiful pictures.
Yep.
I mean, beautiful pictures.
Very often they'll have a picture like that in every room. I knew Mormons that had a picture of the temple in every room, and like in one room it would be a beautiful photo taken from downtown, blown up, just like a Christmas night with the snow coming down, that kind of thing. And then there would be blueprints in another room, and then in another room there would be like a painting of it. But they were into that. And if you've ever been to Salt Lake, that's ground zero, literally, right? So I lived.
Well, I mean, all the streets come to that. Yeah,
right to ground zero. I was 7612 South, 2700 East. So I was 2700 blocks east of the temple and 7600 blocks south of the temple. But I'll tell you what, man, you talk about an easy way to navigate around a town. I loved it. Layout.
Yep.
Loved it. Takes about 4 days to figure it out. And then you're like, anywhere somebody lives, they tell you where they're at, and you're like, I can get you there in 2 seconds.
Yep.
We take that from the pardon the sunlight, but Katy Perry, who runs the entire house, and I do mean runs the entire house, is dropping a deuce. And she gets dookie foot. This is something that apparently is a problem with this particular breed. they have on the bottom of their feet, they've got a ton of fur that comes out between their toes. They have a ton of fur on the bottom of their feet. Like you actually sometimes have to even trim it back a little bit. So they get dookie foot. So you kind of got to hover over this kitty, and when you see her finish her business, you kind of got to snatch her out of there. Don't worry about burying it. The machine will take care of that.
What a mess.
Don't worry, guys. I won't go crazy with the sound effects. I just want to practice with them a little bit.
So the Mormon Church has been changing their doctrine constantly. They've had to. So in this book that he translated from the Egyptian, it said that black folks could not ever reach the high level, they could not be sealed for ministry or any of that stuff, based simply on the fact that, well, he was racist. I mean, there really isn't any other reason for that. He was a racist. They had to change that, obviously, because their hustle is right after you turn 17, if you're a guy, and it's a little older, I think, for the girls, but you get sent off on a 2-year mission. Right? So during the years where you're normally smoking dope, snorting things, getting laid, doing all kinds of stuff that you shouldn't be doing, right? They're going to isolate you from your family. You don't communicate home. My business partner was a Mormon, and his sister was hit by a truck and passed on. It was horrible on a Labor Day weekend, and his brother was not allowed to come home from the mission for the funeral.
Wow!
And it was just and it was not even assumed that he would be there. Like when I asked, and he was a Jack Mormon, he was the only one in the family that did not believe. But when I asked the question, he looked at me like, kill game, dude. Like that, he's definitely not coming home, and you're kind of an ass to ask kind of thing. But they send you on this mission, and you're not going to be out doing the bad stuff. You also can't swim while you're on that mission. You can't watch television when you're on that mission. You can't read a newspaper when you're on that mission. So what they do is they indoctrinate you for 2 years, right? And they've sent you to all over the world, which is why network marketing, multi-level marketing is so big in the Mormon Church or in Salt Lake City, is because everybody went on a mission. So if I could take my 5 best friends from high school, they went to 5 different countries, and they're selling that product in 5 different countries. And that's why you will meet a lot of Mormons who are in that business, because networking, these people have been knocking on doors for 2 years, having people slam doors in their face. Hey, I'm with the Church of Latter-day Slam, right? I'm with the Church of Slam.
Another thing too is, because I tried to date while I was in Ogden, and if you're not a return missionary, man, if you're a return missionary, you're like a rock star with the Mormon girls. I mean, that's like they're looking to date and marry a return missionary.
Yeah, that's an absolute fact.
Yeah.
And the ward that I was in, they break the city up into wards, and they used to come about every 5 or 6 days, right? And I said to a guy once, a friend of mine I said, you wouldn't believe how many Mormons I get to come to the door, dude. I'm like, I'm in Salt Lake City. Wouldn't they assume? He goes, oh, no, they know you're not. He's like, and I'll bet you're the only house in the ward that's not. He's like, for real. And that's why they just keep coming to you. All my neighbors definitely were. But they put the full court press on. And my friend said to me, dude, all you got to do when they say, can we come in to talk to you? The next thing they will say normally is there anything we could do to help you? He said, tell them to mow your lawn. I'm not joking. I was like, dude, I'm not telling them to mow my lawn. He goes, they'll do it. And I told my friend Cody that, right? He's like, that's insane. And I talked to him like 2 weeks later. He's like, bro, I've had everything at my house done by them. He's like, they mowed my lawn. They came by the last time I asked them to do the hedges. He said, they do it. And then they say, can I come in and pray with you? I say, yeah, kind of tight on time. And he said, and they just kept doing this. But I heard the best. They don't want to have contact with the unclean. For real, hug them. For real, give them a hug. Like they come to the door and go, hey, I'm here. Come here, dude. Come here, man. Come here. Just give them a great big hug. They go, oh, come here. You doing all right? Thank you for coming.
They would come see us in jail all the time. And, but it was through glass, it was a county jail. And, they always offered, money, whatever, money in your books. Do you need housing when you get out? They offered a lot,
And they do a lot because they have massive coffers. And I'm not saying the church doesn't do an awful lot of good, but I'm saying that the way that it is set up is really tough. If you happen to have female body parts in their doctrine, you're going to get to the next spot basically because your old man's going to get you in. You realize the power that is as a husband? Hey, hon, there's a few I've been meaning to try. And
I've watched.
I want to try them, or you're not going to heaven.
I've watched a few things on that sect that's broke away from them. The
Fundamentalist Church of Latter-day Saints. The FLDS.
The FDLS. Yeah, Warren Jackson. I've watched a lot of that. Keep sweet and pray.
Bad dude.
Super bad dude. POS of the highest POSs that have ever
still
lived.
Running the church.
Yeah, from jail.
From being locked up inside, he is still running that church. They have at last. So I've been researching a lot of these, but at last call, I believe they said there's between 6,000 to 8,000 members still in that church.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. But even in Salt Lake City, man, I lived right at the mouth of Little and Big Cottonwood Canyon. If you guys have ever been out to Salt Lake, the ski areas in Salt Lake City proper, they go in two different directions. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. One goes up to the left, one goes up to the right. It's and it's Little or Big Cottonwood Canyon. I lived at the mouth of those. I had cottonmouth so bad. If he didn't bring me this, I was going to die.
Man, I feel great. That coffee I just had was amazing.
Yeah, it goes a long way. So that's I lived sort of in the epicenter of where the changing Salt Lake was, not the Mormon Salt Lake. But if you drove just before you get to going to Snowbird or the other canyon where they take you up to Brighton and Solitude is this way. And then if you go into Little Cottonwood Canyon, you get Snowbird and Alta, which are kind of the more famous of the mountains. At the bottom of that canyon, 5-6 football fields away from it, is a big stone wall that goes around a compound of houses. And it's a polygamous compound. You see the women walk through the stores. They never go in cars. They walk through the stores wearing dresses with jeans under the dresses. They never go out where you can see their like they'll have on denim jeans and a dress over it. Bonnets, the whole shooting match. And the first time I saw like 3 of them walking, I'm like, what are they doing? The guy's like, let's say a Mormon compound.
The whole
shooting. Like, what do you mean a Mormon compound? Everything's a Mormon compound. He's like, no. One dude got like 15 or 16 wives, that kind of compound. But right there in the middle, that's Salt Lake City. It still goes on. Believe in a lie. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, sadly, here's the other crazy thing. Do you know that growing up, they always talk about how Joseph Smith started in upstate New York, right? I think it was Elmira. No, that's the next spot. But he started in upstate New York and made his way west. He wasn't born there. He was born in Vermont. And I had to drive by the little sign that said birthplace of Joseph Smith almost every day growing up. Like it was, he was born. Wow, does your cat stink?
That's
he was
little
born
too.
so close to.
The sign was only this big.
Yeah, no, I'm not joking. You think I'm kidding?
Like,
It was a green sign.
Oh.
It was a green sign about this big.
Oh, okay.
It was not a big, hey, this is the birthplace of. It was just a green sign on the side of the road. And I remember the first time I asked my dad, I'm like, who the hell is Joseph Smith? And my dad gave me a very colorful answer I won't share here, but he summed it up.
Yeah.
But it seems like, you know, con men pop up from that part of the world.
Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. But one of the funniest things you'll ever see, I'll make a lot of Mormons happy with this one too, but if you go to the temple downtown, what you will see is a statue of, is it Joseph Smith or Brigham Young? It's one or the other, but he's standing and he's got his hand out like this, right? And right in front of him is the Zion National Bank. And behind him is the temple. So he's standing with his ass to the church and his hand out to the bank. It's one, and it's one of those things that everybody stops and takes a picture of because it's just so damn funny to me. It really is. 5 of your cousins have been on missions. God bless them. God bless them. I'll tell you what, the nicest people I've ever met.
Absolutely.
They really are. They're the nicest people I've ever met. But what we're seeing now is that the doctrine of this is based on some pretty flawed stuff, right? The translations and all of this stuff. It's certainly now I am the first person in the world to acknowledge faith and the importance of it. And I am not going to hack on anyone's belief. I'm not. But this dude, how he created these books can no longer be put out in the way that, that he put it out. It's so demonstratively bullshit that it's hard to just sort of sit back and go, yeah, well, whatever.
A guy told me one time he went to my church. We were talking about them coming to the door, and he's like, invite them in and get your Bible out, and talk to them about the Bible. And I'm not versed enough. Well, I'm more versed now than I was at that time, but I guess somewhere and they might have taken it out by now that Joseph predicts that there's like 9 foot tall green men on the moon. Have you ever heard that?
I have not, but I will tell you this. What I have heard is that there are ramblings. There were this guy said a lot of things that didn't necessarily end up in the, written down into the doctrine. There's also, some stuff about his deathbed where allegedly the people that he was with on his deathbed, he said, yeah, there weren't any gold tablets. Like that's got legs. If you go down that rabbit hole, you'll find a lot of stuff about people that say that he recanted all of this stuff on his deathbed. Let's talk about the Mormons, says Rosanna Dana. All right, good. Then Casper and I we will do something on this.
Yeah.
I promise you. I've been deep diving this for probably only a couple of days, but I was surrounded by these people for so long. Like I ran boiler rooms where you rip people off on the phone, right? Or even if you're not ripping them off, you're ripping them off. You're selling them stock and you're trying to get as much money as it. So I got hired to go and train these rooms. And I went to like 6 different states. And then I got to Utah and they're like, these are producers. You're going to love these guys. And I walked in and said, all right, who's putting the most effing money up in here? Because seriously, I heard you also. And when I dropped the F-bomb, dude, everybody, even people on the phone, it was like, I swear to you, no one had ever dropped an F-bomb in that room. And I've never been on a sales floor where, I'm sorry, but every other word is F. It's just how those people talk. You know what I mean? And the shock on their face. And this is when text messaging was way different. And I'm trying to text my boy Cody, who's coming in also. And you had to go number by number. There was no predictive. So I'm trying to
T9.
put in don't curse. T9, exactly. I'm trying to put in don't curse. And he comes through the door with 3 boxes of donuts and goes, who wants some mother effing Krispy Kremes? He's got doing this stummer and stuff.
Yeah,
it was awful. They brought us into the office and like started going down this big, like long list of all of the stuff wrong with us. And I was like, bro, nobody in here can sell. You need the 2 of us here to train, but they're
on that point,
they're an interesting crew.
Yeah, on that point, after I was baptized, and my vocabulary cleaned up pretty good. Now I do slip one every once in a while, and I'm not as good as I was like my first 2 years as when I first became a Christian, was going to church, and I still go to church and Bible studies and things like that. But I have a friend, Jack, who drops the F-bomb literally every other word, and every time he does, it sounds like an explosion in the room. Like it really does. And I try to talk to him about it, but there's just no change in Jack. And yeah, man, he's a pipe fitter at the refinery. He's a man, a guy's guy, right? And yeah, it's like an explosion every time I have a conversation with him. But I love him, and I wouldn't trade him in for the world because he's got the biggest heart. And yeah.
So you found your faith in God 2 years ago?
5 years ago.
5 years ago. Okay. So you weren't doing this inside.
No.
Okay. I was a believer inside. I've been a believer my whole life, but I got way the hell out there. And then I really came back when I dropped smack for the last time. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to church. I'm in here. And I remember going to the very first one, and a guy gets up and he starts with a prayer, and just like every other church service I ever went to. And it was a inmate that was leading the service. And very often they would bring somebody in from the street or whatever. But this is an inmate, and he's doing a hell of a job. And he's reading out of the Bible, and he stopped and went, hey, shut that effing door. You, shut that effing door. The dude's standing in the pulpit. And I looked at the guy next to me, and I looked at the dude next to him. And nobody, like, it didn't matter to anybody in the room. It meant nothing to anyone in the room. So I just went, all right. And then he got right back into doing what he was doing. And I remember talking to a minister on the street about that afterwards. And he went, I think that's beautiful. He said, for real, he wasn't, those are people that are trying to find their way. He goes, who cares? I said, it was different. I didn't go back because it left me unnerved. I felt like, man, that didn't sound, that just sounded a little rugged. The book Visions of Glory, and see how it has led to Ruby Frankie. This is fascinating because it isn't just Ruby Frankie. It is also the Doomsday Mom, Vallow, was also the Visions of Glory was also part of the Lori Vallow case, if I'm not mistaken. I think it is. Sure. This is probably something that my partner could answer better because I believe
I can.
That's how you were riding while you were in there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Ask the guy a question. He walks out of the room. Don't try this at home. Man's a professional.
Yeah, so I mean, they're all there. All the pagan religions are there. Odinism's there, which is also true. Wicca's there, and those guys are all D&D weirdos. I don't know what they're doing. And I guess I would say those are the only two pagan, unless you consider every other religion pagan except for Christianity. But that I would truly consider pagan. Those would be the main two that are there. Yeah, and they have all the rights in the world. They get to observe their holidays, their eating, their diets. They get to observe their food holidays. They get to observe. The government has really stepped up and let people in prison have their religious freedoms, which I think is great.
Backwards. They bend over backwards for that. They've been
they
sued
do.
so many times. They have been sued so many times and lost so many lawsuits. The one exception that I have found, the only thing that, or two exceptions, I should say, they're not going to make. There are certain allowances they won't make for religions. For instance, they're not going to they don't do auditing in there, right? So if you're a Scientologist, and there are Scientologists in prison, but usually what they do is they read Dianetics over and over and over again, because they're not going to be able to sit down and do any kind of work on e-meters. I'm not saying they wouldn't bring someone in, but you'd be asking a Scientologist to go into a prison, which I don't know. Prisons are full of SPs. I can't imagine they'd want to walk into the scariest place on earth.
And that's just it. They're not gonna supply a Buddhist monk for the Buddhists. They're not gonna supply a Gothi for the Odinists, which is like their like the leader of their not clan. What is it? Their kindred. They're not gonna do any of that. They're gonna have a well-versed chaplain that covers all of them. And of course, he did they're always whispering under their breath, there's only one true God, but they're not disrespectful about it.
No, imagine their job too. Imagine their job. The guy that goes in there and talks to you about Christ on Tuesday has to go set up for the satanic ceremonies for him on Saturday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's got to be a challenge for the chaplain. They will provide tobacco to natives, so the prayers can be carried to the ancestors. They will not provide weed to a Rastafarian. They will make allowances for the Rastafarian diet. They'll allow them to wear the tam. That's an approved headpiece in there. All of the religions, if you wear a kufi or you wear a yarmulke, they make allowances for all of those things. But there are, believe it or not, lawsuits have gone all the way to the Supreme Court for cats that said, you're keeping me from my religious freedom because I have to make a pilgrimage to Mecca in my life.
Yeah.
Sorry about your luck. I just want to make a pilgrimage to a nicer yard.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, Odinism is getting a lot. You could be a Jedi Knight, Rona Cooley, as long as you can demonstrate that there's somebody on the street that's put out some literature about Jedi Knights being a religion. You sure as hell could. I promise you. There are some people in there. Have you ever heard of the religion of Bob?
Yeah. I don't know much about it, but I've heard of it.
It's just it started out as a stupid meme, but there were guys at the last yard I was at that were filing paperwork because they wanted to have services. There's always somebody pushing that.
Yeah.
The Odinism.
Sorry, I just hit my phone.
You're good. The Odinists get their own little plot of land on the yard.
It's called a grove.
A grove, yeah. They call it the grove.
They get a grove. They get a fire pit. They get firewood. Yep. It's pretty. I was an Odinist in there for 4 years. I was an Odinist. Before that, I was a Buddhist. I went from Buddhism to Odinism, and then I just lost faith in everything. And then on the streets, I was saved, and I've been saved ever since, man. It's pretty awesome.
Bless you. God bless
Literally
you.
Yeah.
I started out that way and then got really far afield, and then I decided that I always knew that there was a God, but I was going to find, and I really went through and just about read every holy text I could get my hands on. I never saw a Sikh in prison.
Me either.
Not one. Have you ever met any Sikhs? They're the kindest people I've ever met.
Right. They are so kind. And I have in Detroit, I met some Sikhs, and there's a big population up Dearborn, Michigan. And they're always just super polite. And then of course, after I read Shantaram, I wanted to, and I might even talk to you about this. Like my bucket list is definitely to go to India, but to because I did have a Buddhism background, I was thinking of what's it called again? The religion in India?
It's Hindu.
Hindu, yeah. Couldn't think of that. To look into Hinduism, but God decided to do it true to my life and just kind of pull me into, something real and not fanciful. Yeah. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, like something that I feel has proved, shown some proof, and that's bore fruit in my life.
You know what this is what I tell people all the time. I will do a show on my faith. We can do one together, and I'll put it at a different time so that the people that don't want to hear it, I'm never trying to shove my belief down anyone's throat. But I would love to tell the world why, because after reading all of the different texts, I would love to tell the world why I landed on the one that I landed on. But I try to keep it separated from normal content, because I hated people that tried to push their religion on me when I wasn't in religion. Yep. And the last thing I would ever want to do is be that cat. My fiance has found God, and she did it largely without any help from me. I said to her, I will answer any questions if you ever have any questions, and I answered them like you would if you weren't a believer. I would say, this is what believers think, and this is what the people that don't believe, this is how
there's
they
a revival
that and cut that down.
I truly believe there's a revival right now, and
it's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Yeah.
Just like the end zone in the NFL. I want to tell you something. I've been saying this. If you're on the boat, man, you've been hearing me say this for 4 years. I said, have faith, because if you pull a bowstring, right? It's a great analogy. When you let go of a bowstring, it doesn't come back to where it started from, right? And you put tension in any situation, it never comes back to where the tension started. Kids rebel against their parents. It happens since the dawn of man. So if your dad is the most conservative cat in the whole world, then you're growing your hair and you're going to read books by the communist thinkers of the world. But if your dad has long hair and has all of those books on the bookshelf, then the kid is going to get a short haircut. He's going to start reading the Bible, and he's going to start doing all of the things, because dad can't be right. Dad's an idiot. Well, we had so much woke going on. It's not going to come back to woke. It's not going to come back to zero. It's going to come back to conservative, and it's going to go farther into conservative. It's just kind of how it works. And it's been happening forever. This isn't a shocker, right? It happens all the time. It happened in the 80s, remember?
Yeah. Shall do.
Yep. So it's definitely, and I'll tell you, the nice thing about this is everybody can go ahead and get pissed off at me. Do you know what's happening at the border? Illegal border crossings are down 90% since the president took office. 90%. Do you know what that
I have
means?
a little border story. Go ahead.
That means that they could throw a switch. They talked about how difficult it was, and that she came out in that press conference every single freaking week and said, it's just not that easy, right? We're in the process of trying to do this, this, and this. We're trying to shut that down. It's a switch. They tossed that switch. We still got 10%, right? But 90% down. So they let all of that dope come in here. They let all of those kids end up missing. They let that happen. They could have thrown a switch and stopped it. I'm not trying to be political, but that's the truth. And I told everybody from Jump Street, that was my own. I don't care about the rest of it. That was my only freaking issue, because the amount of dope that's coming through that border is causing it to be the #1 cause of death in our country. It's going to take probably a year and a half for the amount of dope that's in this country to get done. How effed up is that? Yeah. They're ahead of the curve. They knew what was coming. They were bringing that stuff in advance because they knew it was going to get harder to do it. That's terrifying. Yeah. You got a story?
Yeah. I do. The main reason why I wanted to show this and to talk about this today is because Joe Behar on The View said something that I actually agreed with, which would be the very, very first time ever.
I'm sorry, what? So I don't care who you are. I don't care what political leaning you are. That's the dumbest woman on the earth.
Yeah. She's bad. She's terrible. But I'm going to start it with a I'm gonna play a little clip from the View, and then they don't show what they're talking about. So Selena Gomez came out and she did a TikTok where she's crying about all the deportation that's going on down at the border, and it's so fake and it's so
cringy.
It's just unbelievably fake. But they tried to talk about it on the View, and I'm just gonna play a little bit of it, and then they don't play the Selena Gomez clip, oddly enough. Okay. But I did find the clip, even though she's taking it down. I found it, and I will show the clip, and then yeah. Okay, here we go. Whoops, wrong way.
The nationwide mass deportation live show that we've been seeing on every network. Has even featured some guest stars like Dr. Phil. But one celebrity who isn't being welcomed into the conversation is Selena Gomez. Now, she took down an emotional post talking about the impact of these raids on her people. After backlash, here's what border czar Tom Holman.
Before we show that, I want to show the Selena Gomez clip, but I have to I had it set up, but let me just find that real quick. Here we go.
Jeremy Feller says, I saw that. Yes, is the word overacting at its finest.
Okay, here's the Selena Gomez clip.
Just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. They don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't.
I wish I could do something.
Of course you could.
I'll try everything, I promise.
So here's my issue with that. So basically she's crying, right? And then goes and hits play or record on her phone. You know what I mean? And then I didn't stop it because I wanted to play the whole thing. And then she squeezes her eyes real tight at the beginning to like get whatever she's got to fall down her face.
Get a little liquid.
It just seems real disingenuous, right? It just seems, to me at least, it does. And I'm not a Selena Gomez hater or Disney hater or anything like that. And then
I happen to hate them both, but
yeah. And then this is what the View has to say about it.
I don't like Joe Behar though.
Yeah, and I'll get to the part with Joe Behar, but I want to play this through a little bit.
And conservative media had to say.
Selena Gomez and the others.
Yeah.
I would check your compassionate privilege.
Oh.
Because they never said anything about Laken Riley.
No. Singer and actress Selena Gomez filmed herself weeping today. She was in a, let's call it a performative fit of hysteria because Donald Trump is deporting violent criminal illegal immigrants.
We got 500,000 children who are sex trafficked into this country, separated from their families, put in the hands of criminal cartels to be smuggled into the country. This administration can't find over 300,000. Where's the tears for them?
So and I'm gonna get to the Joy Behar thing, but we all know about the Lakem story, right? It's just awful, super awful, and that could have been prevented because the guy was a returning sexual predator.
Yeah, it didn't have to happen. And here's the thing that chaps my ass. And I understand that, we want to be compassionate and all that. I love compassion. Compassion's a good thing. You can't pick and choose. You got this whole group of people out there that say, this crime is okay. We're going to let this go. You can commit that crime. And because it's just, we don't want to separate you from your family. Guess what happened when I committed my crime? They separated me from my family. In fact, I wasn't even allowed to kiss my wife when she was in the courtroom. I couldn't even give her a hug or kiss goodbye. I said to the judge, can I just give my wife a hug, give her goodbye? He goes, no, don't touch her. But nobody made videos crying that I was being separated from my family because I committed a crime. Well, we have a crime about illegal entry into this country. And if you come in illegally, guess what? None of these people that they're locking up got locked up the first time. They don't do that.
Yeah, and here's the deal: we have the softest, most wide open borders in the world. Canada and America have the most unmilitarized borders in the world because we decided to put up some barbed wire and some, a little bit extra wall. Now we're all monsters. And anyways, here we go. We're gonna play some more of this.
So Selena responded by posting, apparently it's not okay to show empathy for people. So, I guess I'm supposed to ask you if you think the country has a problem finding empathy, but I wonder if you really want to, make an impact, why aren't they sending folks back who are in jail already? Why aren't we seeing those mass?
They are getting sent back there in jail already.
That was the first crew that they were dumping.
Yeah, we only have so many buses. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Hold on.
Deportations of people who have been found guilty of a crime. And why aren't we sending them back?
He'd have to send the January 6 people back too then, because
That's not what I agreed with, by the way.
Go ahead.
I'm questioning, why is Dr. Phil there? What is
Because
Dr.
it is
Phil
now a
doing there?
reality show. This is the new reality show. And I'm hoping that we can put music behind this, because it's only going to be a matter of weeks before we start to see.
How about Diddy?
I mean, just folks showing up.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Well, the only thing that could fix so much of the division in this country is empathy, is compassion. And there's no privilege to that. Giving it to anyone, compassion, empathy. Watching Selena Gomez, what people don't understand is two things can be true at once. All of these conservative media pundits answered with, what about the violent criminals? Selena Gomez can feel compassion for people being deported. She has a very personal connection to that. Her grandmother came in the back of a truck across the border, and
So did my grandmother, by the way. Everyone knows I'm half Hispanic, and my grandmother's from Leon, Guanajuato, and she was really good. So it's not like I'm like some like crazy anti
What was the name of the town
Hispanic.
again?
What's that?
What's the name of the town she's from?
Leon, Guanajuato. She's actually out from outside of there. It's where they make all the tennis shoes and candy and
Nice.
yeah. Where there's lots of pyramids there, mummies. Yeah.
her father was then born in the country. She's born in the country. She belongs here. But that is natural to then say, God, it's heartbreaking to watch this.
But here's the deal. I'm sorry I keep stopping it, but having empathy is good. We believe in empathy. I have empathy for people that don't deserve to be deported or don't deserve to be split up from their families. And who am I to say that these people do or don't or aren't deserve to be split up? But it's about her. The post where it's not you. It's obvious she's fake. It's fake.
It's a PR stunt. Nobody hits record when they're crying. You know what I mean?
Right.
Who does that?
With their
Who
phone
sets
already
the
set
camera
up.
Yeah, I mean that's just the dumbest
And
thing.
if you take an acting class, and they say if she probably doesn't feel like she's a good fake crier, and so they say if you don't, I've taken 3 acting classes, and when you get to the crying part, they always say put your hand like just kind of cover your face, so and just make sobbing sounds, and she does that almost the entire time.
Yeah,
the entire time.
It is a weak piece of acting, and I'll tell you something else about empathy. Empathy is what we need, right? But you don't create a situation that has all of these problems, and then you have to empathize for the people. We create the problem. We created this. So when you say, all right, look, we're going to leave how about the empathy for the people that walk from friggin' Peru to Mexico in hopes of getting across a border that they shouldn't be able to get across? You know how many people along the way get violently assaulted?
Yes.
Nobody. If you happen to be a woman, you're not getting to the United States without getting R-worded. I mean, that's just what happens. All along the way, they get picked off and they get abused. A lot of the people steal kids to bring with them because they got so much better chance of getting across the border with one. We've had to do we have to now DNA test the people at the border to make sure that they're their kids, because it was an epidemic of them just grabbing kids. The empathy needs to start by shutting the border down so that those people don't make that death trek, right? That's what you do. You stop it before it gets here. This is just stupidity.
Yep. And then you do it legally if you can.
And she can still not be okay with violent criminals. And they keep saying in there, we're taking the violent criminals. Well, the people, and they're not rapists, 13 repeat offenders. Everyone in this country, including Selena Gomez, would say bravo. But that's not what's happening, and they're not being open about it. So never
I
condemn
want to get to
someone
the,
for showing
Dr. Phil
empathy for
part real
another
quick.
person's story. That to say that
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes.
And wait a second. And the price of eggs is up. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
that.
1,200
Hold on.
deportations a day, but half of them have no criminal record.
Yes.
And wait a second. And the price of eggs is up. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say,
I wasn't gonna do
listen, the immigration system is
I really
broken.
love what
Most
this- what
Americans
this
agree.
girl
They
says.
disagree on the solutions. I think we need to secure the border. We need to streamline the process so you can come here legally, and it's easier to do that. I think immigrants make our country better. But I
Is it
agree that
easy? Is it easy to do?
It's
we need to
expensive.
we need
It's
to
very
fix the system to
expensive.
make it much easier. It can take years to become a citizen. It's a very onerous process. But empathy can be a two-way street because, agreed, of course, Selena Gomez has lived experience. She is going to feel something when she sees families potentially being separated. And on the other side, with Lake and Riley, I think the issue here is people are like, well, why aren't you mad when an American kills another American? Of course we are. Of course we're outraged. It's evil and it's wrong. What makes this so heartbreaking for people is it was avoidable. The system failed Lake and Riley. That person should not have been here in the first place. They should have been deported because they are one of these violent offenders. And so a young woman, a young UGA student is not alive today because the system failed her. So be mad at both at once. That's something that's perfectly reasonable. But what I'm frustrated about with this conversation is anytime we
We
talk
get
about
so
border
mad,
security in
dude.
America and immigration, we act like it's uniquely American, racist, and xenophobic. Every nation on earth deals with this issue. I sat with then Chancellor Angela Merkel when she was discussing how many Syrian migrants she could afford to bring into Germany safely and economically. This is how every country deals with it. Canada and the US have the largest unguarded borders in the world. So we need to also be realistic. How do we talk about issues everyone faces, do it in a humane way, make the border secure, but also people who want to be here for the right reasons
But
can
with
get
Trump,
here.
it's not possible because cruelty is the point with him.
That
That
cruelty
seems
is the
to be what
point.
he's
Absolutely.
If he-
like,
There's
let's
the
show
logic.
this happening. And when you
What's
Here's
that?
the logic. This is the problem that we have in
Right.
the world vis-a-vis this border cruelty. He's doing this to be cruel. There are today 300 moms that are going to lose a baby. Right? There are 300
Right.
mothers whose kid is going to die today. Now that kid might be 50 or the kid might be 16 or whatever, but there's roughly 300 people that are going to overdose and die on dope that came across that border because you can walk across with it. You can schedule your time that you're going to walk across. And that dope is killing people at a rate that is terrifying. So when you start talking about cruelty, the cruelest thing that has happened to our country in the last, well, in this century, to be sure, are the number of Americans that we've lost to drug overdoses. We've lost more Americans to opioid overdoses than we've lost in all of our wars combined. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
You know, this is, and so when you start talking about cruelty, you got to make decisions that are going to protect the world. And I've been crying for this forever, and I didn't care who got in office. This is what needed to happen because we're at war. People aren't smart enough to see that. But if your chemicals are killing people, you make the next batch weaker. You don't make the next batch stronger. If your dope is knocking people off the planet, you cut it. They're making it stronger and stronger and stronger. And we just keep losing more people and more people. That's not normal. That's not business. This is an attack. And if you can't shut that down, it's not an accident that the people that are dying are between 18 and 50. If you had to start putting weapons in the hands of everybody in the country to defend this planet, it would be people between the ages of 18 and 50, right? Males. And that's dying. It's also, oddly enough, everybody coming across that border. They keep talking about all the families separated and all that. Go watch the videos. And what you'll see is that the 90% of the people that are walking across that border are men. And they're young men. That's who's coming across. And you would have to be to walk from friggin' South America to the Mexican border. Those are strong, young, military-age men, and from a lot of countries.
Yeah, and then it gets to, and I won't play the rest of it. But then it gets to the one woman that's she's a lawyer, and she starts it. Well, yeah, she says that. Well, more crimes get committed by Americans than by the illegals. Well, that's obvious. There's more of us than there is them. So that's a dumb point. And that's really it ends with that. And then the conservative commenter, she just goes on and talks more of the same what she just talked about. And Whoopi gets so mad she cuts her off, goes to commercial, and yeah.
Well, and it is disgusting that she's joking about it, Mindy. She thinks she's a comedian and she's not particularly funny. But you know what? Here's the thing that should end this debate for everybody. Barack Obama rallied every single Democrat he could get to vote for putting up a wall on the southern border to protect America from Mexico. Research this. I'm not making it up. He was rallying the troops because he wanted a wall. Or he wanted the world to think he wanted a wall. He knew it couldn't get put up or whatever. But everybody that voted against that wall had voted for that wall. Everyone. You can look it up. I'm not making this up. It's easily researchable. So what that means is they were willing to let 300,000 kids go missing for politics. What it means is they were willing to sacrifice 300 Americans a day for politics. They didn't care whether or not people were dying because they had a political message. They knew the border, the wall would stop it. They had already voted for it, but they'd be damned if they were going to give a win to this, orange-haired dude from New York. And we lose 300 people a day because these jackwagons want to make a point. And people like Laken Riley and all of the stuff that has happened. When you say they have no criminal record, they walked 3,000 miles to break the law. They came here to break the law. Walking across that border without permission is breaking the law. It's a felony. And in theory, it's punishable, your first offense, by 5 years in prison. They turn you around, kick you back. Usually it's the second or the third time when they know you're just not going to stop that they break you off and give you 5 years.
Yeah.
But they
give you, it's the re-entry that they give you. That's 5 years or whatever.
Re-entry into the United States. Yep. The UK has a worse problem, Dana Louise. The UK has a worse problem. They have, the R word is an epidemic over there. They have these roving gangs of people that are R wording individuals. This is all over the world. It's just that the people that control the narrative, the people who control the information, the people that do the talking get to paint whatever picture they want, plain and simple. And they're painting a picture of, the one party hates everybody, and that's why they don't want people coming across the border. The other party, well, they love everybody, so there shouldn't be borders. We should live in a world without borders. Well, that sounds freaking fantastic, but it's never worked, ever, anywhere, right? Honestly.
Right.
Look, all of the people who vote against the wall have security guards, and they have a wall around their house, right? They have security walking around a wall they have built around their property. Like Nancy Pelosi got a kick-ass wall. I actually started looking up politicians and looking at their house, and all of them have these huge, beautiful walls with security. They like to vote against pew-pew laws, right? I can't have one ever. But they all got 9 people that they hire who walk around with them, and every one of them strapped.
Yeah.
It's just silliness to me. All of it is silliness to me. There's the truth gets trampled because we live in a 30-second soundbite society where people just listen and catch. You realize how easy it is to paint the picture of whatever you want if you just can control the narrative. There's a great movie. Did you ever see a movie called Wag the Dog? Is it called Wag the Dog? No, that's a book. There's a movie with John Travolta where he plays basically a Bill Clinton character.
Yeah, and that's not The Tale of Wag the Dog.
Maybe that's what it's called. Maybe that is what it's called. But he hires a dude to come in and
it's a great movie.
Director from Hollywood hires a director from Hollywood to come in and create a story as a diversion. And what's the diversion for? Well, he kissed this. There's a video of him kissing this girl in a beret. I mean, it's a straight ripoff of of what happened with Clinton. But it is Wag the Dog then. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It is Wag the Dog. See, I remember a book called Wag the Dog that was a very different story. And the story of that is a guy that he wants to threaten the United States, small country. And they want to threaten the United States of America because every time somebody loses to the United States in a war, the United States rebuilds their country. So he's gonna start a war with the United States, but he accidentally steals an atomic bomb in the process, and the United States wants to surrender to his country. It's a wicked, wicked funny book.
Yeah.
It was Wag the Dog. Yeah, it's a great story. It's a really, really great story. But they do this, people. If you control the narrative, right? Start a little conflict. Say that there's a battle going on in Kosovo. Drop a couple of bombs. You can do anything to just stop people from talking about what's really going on.
Yeah.
The control and the control of information has allowed governments to do whatever they want since there have been governments. And guess what? This is going to kill them. I'm not kidding.
Mhm.
There's 125 people listening to the stuff that we're saying this morning, but you watch and see how big that this grows. And I don't just mean us. I mean, we're into 2025, and the little people are going to realize that we're not little people.
Right.
For real. I'm telling you, want to know how fast you could redo our entire government? Listen to this and tell me this ain't genius. How about if for an upcoming election, if you just said, we will not elect anybody that has ever been in office? I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. Everybody gets kicked out. If you have served before, you're gone. No incumbents. A no incumbent election where every single person that goes in there is fresh and has never done it before. You go, that'd never work. Well, that's how we did it 200 years ago, right? We had guys that blacksmiths and doctors and lawyers and farmers and all these people came together and came up with the greatest document that ever lived. And since then, we have done everything we can to screw it up. I think we need to kick everybody the hell out of office and start from scratch.
Yeah.
What is a politician? Imagine telling someone it's more embarrassing than saying you're a content creator. I write laws. A politician writes laws. How many laws could we possibly need? They have to go there every year and continue to write laws or they don't have a job. So they just crank out laws. Hundreds of thousands of laws are written every single year. How's that possible? What the hell are we doing with all of this stuff?
Yeah.
It seems to me like there should be like 20. There can't be a reason for that many laws. But they want to control everything. And you have to, if you're a politician.
And for real, there doesn't even need to be 20.
Laws.
I mean, they're really just 10, right?
The 10 commandments were a good start, right? Okay, so we might have to have some laws concerning what you do with automobiles, or you have to have laws concerning whether or not any person can fly a plane. Like, I understand that there's stuff like that, but somebody Google this. Google how many laws get passed last year in Congress, because that would be an interesting statistic. Somebody give that one a Google for me if you could. And just real quickly, I don't want to go off on a real political rant here, but the way that these laws get passed is I write a law and I want this law. Let's say I want to build a battleship, and this battleship is going to be the most expensive thing ever built. It's going to be trillions of dollars. And I'm trying to push this battleship through Congress. I call up my friend Casper in Wyoming, right? Because he's going to be voting on this. And I go, hey, bro, I need your vote on this damn boat. We're having a hard time getting this battleship pushed through. And can I count on your vote, brother? Yeah, I don't know, man. The people in my jurisdiction are going to go nuts. My constituents are going to give me shit about a weapon that expensive. However, Casper says to me, if you'd be willing to maybe fund this project that I've got going in Wyoming, we're trying to build the world's largest ant farm. It's going to require, okay, so we add that onto my bill. It's only another $20 million. We call it an earmark. So we earmark something on the bottom of the bill. Now I called the dude in Vermont and he says, yeah, I'll sign, but there's something you got to put on there for me. By the time this thing's done, you got 38 earmarks on there that have nothing to do with anything. And oh, you know what the last earmark is? The last earmark says, I would like $6 million to teach blind kids how to read. So as a real legit politician, they call me. And I go, yeah, I'm not voting for this. It's friggin' ridiculous. You guys got 38 earmarks on this. They will then run an ad in the next election to say, Tommy Scoville voted against teaching blind children how to read. They won't mention that was an earmark on the bottom of a bill that was actually a weapon, right?
Right.
It's such a hustle. It's such a friggin' con. And the average low information voter doesn't have a clue of any of this.
Well, check this out.
Funny. Go ahead.
Yeah. Check this out. I couldn't get an exact number. Maybe someone in the audience will be able to get an exact number, how many laws. But statistically, every 2 years, Congress typically enacts 4 to 6 million words of new law every 2 years.
Nice.
Wrap your head around that.
And you know what's great?
Jeez.
They're not writing those bills. Those bills. What they're doing is someone is showing up with the bill already written, right? It's a lobbyist, bunch of lawyers, and they go, hey man, we need this boat built, Gasper. And they hand you the bill and they go, look, we'll pay you off. You say, you can't do that. It's against the law. You can't pay me off. No, but we could start a political action committee called the Committee to Re-elect Sam, right? And we'll put about $25 million to start that thing off. Would that help you out?
I think
You
that
go,
sounds
well,
great.
that'll help me get reelected. But I mean, I was kind of hoping, oh, don't be a schmuck. So look, hire your best friend to run this. He's going to run your campaign. Pay him $7 million a year to run it. Have him channel you back 3 through an offshore account in the Caymans. Come on, get your shit together. This is easy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you know what? Guess who ran the last president's campaign? Google that. Look, I don't go down the political rabbit hole too often because people get pissed off about it. But I'm going to tell you something, man.
But I think we should on our morning show. I get it on our other
the cat's out
channels.
of the bag. There's no point in BSing anymore, right? The crimes of the last administration, he pardoned his entire family on the way out the door for everything that can come forward. Do you know the mistake that was? For real?
Yeah.
Now you can't take the 5th. None of them. You subpoena one of those fools and you ask them what they did, and they say, I'm not going to answer you. You're in a whole new world of hurt because the judge is going to go, nothing you say can be held against you. You have blanket immunity. You better start talking, and we're going to find out a lot of stuff. Or they can say, oh, if you're going to refuse that, now you could actually go after him for some legitimate stuff. And it's terrifying, man.
Yeah, and these guys are all just getting rich too, and it's the rich guys accusing the rich guys of getting rich. Everyone's always accusing Trump of getting rich, but I don't think he uses politics to get rich. But guess who did? What's his name? He's doing a the Obamas are doing documentaries now. They just made who was our last president again? Biden. They just made Joe Biden the creative director of a documentary. He's 82 years old. What do you think
this is the payout. This is the payout.
Right.
Usually it's a book deal. It's a huge book deal.
Oh, the book deals are there too, and he's getting $115,000 for every university he goes and talks at.
How much?
$115,000.
I'm sorry, but in terms of presidents, bro, he's in the discount rack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obama gets like 2.5 times that.
First black president. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and he's a better speaker too. I mean,
I think he's an amazing
Joe was a
speaker.
good speaker. Even when Joe was a good speaker, he wasn't that good a speaker. But
nope.
Although
He's
that
a good
corn
writer.
pop rant, the corn pop rant is one of my absolute favorites. You ever hear him do the corn pop thing?
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
help us. That is just, you got to know that the people that were running that campaign standing off of the side just went, what the hell did he just say? What?
Yeah.
Corn pop? He carried straight razors. He beat the guy with a chain. What the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Oh man. Or when he starts sniffing hair, you're just like, God help us, man. This is
and you know what else? I was just looking at my post-it notes because I do when I do my show prep, I make these little post-it notes, and that there is a program we can do for podcast that we can share. It's called Notion, where we can share show prep notes, and we'll do that eventually. But for now, I'm just going to use these post-its. Because I didn't know that the NFL had decided to put choose love when I first was researching the story. So I was like, maybe they should just put start using your turn signal. That would improve our world a little bit better.
Or don't drive with your turn signal on. If
Don't drive with your turn signal on. Huh?
If you hear a clicking sound, you probably still have your turn signal on. I do it all the time. And Johnny always looks
my truck screams at me if I leave my turn signal on. It's a Dodge Ram. It screams at me, dude. Yeah.
Do you know something? This is a gospel truth. If you had said to me, I want you to guess what kind of truck I have, I would have guessed Dodge Ram.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why, but I would have guessed that. Like, I wasn't surprised at all when you said you had a Dodge Ram. You're kind of a Dodge Ram kind of dude.
Yeah. Well, I traded in a 94 Chevy for it that I swore I would never get rid of. It was 4-wheel drive, stick shift, and it was a beast, man. And but we had a shortage of used trucks a couple years ago up here in Montana, and they were offering $10,000 for all these used old trucks.
No way.
And so, yeah, I had to do it. But yeah, I got a Dodge. I'd always wanted a Dodge Ram. So
I am a closet truck dude. My dad was too. There's just something like my dad always had really nice cars. When he got older, he's like, I want a truck. And I think he bought 2 or 3 in a row. I'm a closet truck dude. The last time I was out, I had an original Tacoma you get out and lock the hubs. There was nothing on that was electric. And at the same time, I had a Mercedes-Benz, a 5 560, the sickest AMG that they made.
Yeah.
And I would take the Mercedes out, and about once every 2 weeks, someone would go, "Nice car." You know what I mean? It was a sick car. It was a drop top. I would take that Toyota Tacoma out, and 4 times a day, someone could come up and hand me a card. If you ever want to sell that, you ever want to get rid of that, I guess like the preppers and the people that are into like preparing for the end of the world, that's the vehicle they want, because there's nothing in there. Like if you touched off an EMP, that Toyota Tacoma would still be running. I guess nothing else would. And it got annoying. It got to a point where I was like, I'd see someone walking across the parking lot. I'd be like, I'm not selling it. You know, everybody. It was crazy, dude. It really was. It was nuts.
I have a Honda Accord too. I really like the Accord also.
You know what? You can't go wrong with Honda. I've owned a buttload of them. You cannot go wrong with
this thing is so fast, dude. It's so fast.
I'm currently rocking a Prius.
Are you?
Yeah. I drive a Prius. Didn't see that coming, did you?
There was I almost don't believe you, but I believe you. Yeah.
No, I really do. I have a Prius, and it says it's got a lifeboat license plate. It really does. It doesn't say the lifeboat, but it says something close along those lines. And I would tell you exactly. But then what will happen is controls will.
Prius, you're the problem, brother.
You know what I like about the Prius, man? Honestly, it's like what the
it's a stepping ladder to a Tesla.
Yeah, exactly. The people say people do the can you pass anything in that? Gas stations, one right after the other, bro. Like you have no idea how good the gas mileage I get. It is crazy.
Yeah.
Melinda, you've been waiting a year to hear me uncork on politics.
Oh, good. Yeah. Because I was a little concerned about doing politics, but I think we should on this morning show, at least, every once in a while, have a segment or two about politics.
Well, and here's the thing. I can argue this till the end of time. And the reason is, this is something that I spent a lot of time reading about. A friend of mine asked me recently a question, and they said they're fascinated by this because this person has seen interactions with a lot of people who leave prison. And they say, they seem to go in very liberal and come out very conservative. And is that, politically, I don't mean like, is that, what do you think causes that? And I said, because you remove everything else in life. There's nothing else to do, right? Literally, there's nothing else to do. So everybody starts to pay attention to the things like politics, and they start reading about stuff, and they start following things. And you get stuck reading a lot of nonfiction, and you start to read about different administrations and things. And by the time you're done, you come to the same realization that Winston Churchill did, which is if you show me somebody in their 20s that isn't a liberal, then I'll show you somebody without a heart. But if you show me somebody in their 40s who isn't a conservative, I'll show you somebody without a brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The people that go and deep dive it, I think it's a lot at this point like the Mormon church thing. I'm sorry. But if you deep dive this, and look, I'm not here to tell you that either side is winning. I'm here to tell you how bad the last side did on that border, and the hypocrisy of the Democrats who voted for the wall, then not only not voting for it, but blocking it while they knew exactly what was going on. I was talking about what was going on here every day on the lifeboat. When that was, especially during that time, all we talked about was drugs. I talked about that. We knew what was going on here. With the intelligence that they had in Washington, I promise you, they knew exactly how bad everything was, and they wanted it bad. They wanted it bad on this guy's watch. They didn't want him fixing the border problem because they didn't want to give that side a win. And I'd be talking either way. For instance, that dirtbag who is a jester is a Republican. Gus Bilrakis, who goes out and talks about human tea and all of that stuff.
Oh yeah, we're going to get him this year.
Yeah, we're going to get him. And he's a jester. Yeah. He's a Republican. I don't care what party you're on. If you're a scumbag, it makes absolutely no difference. But I was a one-party voter, and I called this, man. I said this border is not hard to fix. It's not. They just got to shut it down. And it's,
what's the guy's name again?
Gus Bilrakis. You're going to find him in Florida.
Good. Gus, we're coming after you, brother.
No question, dude. You can't be that dude and then be that dude, you hypocrite. And we're going to start chasing down the judges too, because there's a lot of people. Can you imagine sitting on a bench and watching somebody come in front of you for prostitution, knowing what you do on the weekends?
Yeah.
Or seeing someone come in there for possession of blow, knowing that you're snorting it on the weekends. That judge last year that Quibbs and I, when we did our shows back in July with them going to the beach party, the judge gets pulled over. The judge gets pulled over in a truck that's got Ram truck, by the way, that had a couple of girls in it. One of those girls was carrying blow to the party. Of course, the judge didn't get in trouble. But so that judge is now going to go sentence people for blow and prostitution and all that. Yeah, you guys are flipping heroes. And that's the guy that came and sat down next to me and Quibbs when we were in Vegas and talked shit to my fiance. Those guys are heroes. We're getting them. We're getting them. I promise you.
Thanks, Jeremy. We are. You'll see. You guys are all here for the ride too, man. I am so excited for this year. The year of accountability, integrity. And we'll keep ourselves in check too, man. Like it's just a win. I think it's just a win, man.
This is a good point, and I'm glad that somebody asked it. I respect the decision, but isn't the whole deportation process a little chaotic? On list of people to deport, they want to send them to USSR, Yugoslavia, or Czechoslovakia, countries that don't exist. The cause for that, Beata, is because, and this is how they use headlines to make people look stupid, right? These countries don't even exist. Okay, well, when the person broke the law, that's how long these people have been ducking and dodging the system, right? The last time that they got scanned in, or the last place that they had of origin, was the USSR. We have been allowing this sieve of a border of ours. And you can say, you know what? They've been living here good that entire time. You don't have any idea if that's the truth, right? What you know is that they have people that they've arrested and they're deporting. For all you know, these people have been running illegal chop shops and all kinds of other stuff. They popped up on the radar somehow. And I doubt it was just simply because, they've been hanging out all this time since Yugoslavia, right? Or Czechoslovakia. No, they've been here doing something to keep them alive, but it popped them up on somebody's radar.
Yeah.
But and they're good at this.
Good
Just
comment,
like the headlines you saw last night. I read headlines last night, and when I first read them, I went, holy crap, Diddy's been in the president's penthouse. Because that's sure as hell how they're writing it up. If you control the narrative, if you control why the rush? So the rush is this, and I'm glad that you asked. 300 American citizens are dying a day. 300 American citizens are dying a day. And we have in this country, for the better part of 6 administrations, maybe 7, listened to this line of BS about exactly how someone was going to get in and stop and fix this. And we are accustomed to why the rush, right? Why the rush? Every single day. If you take 350,000 kids that we don't know where they are, and you divide that by the number of days that the last administration was in office, we can figure out how many days it took, how many people we lost every single day out into the system. You shut down that by 90% already. 90% illegal border crossings are down already. That means those are kids that aren't disappearing into the United States, who are going to end up working in rub and tug shops or worse, right? It's not numbers. It's kids. It's not, it's women. It's people that come across the border wearing wristbands that tell the pimps on this side of the border how much money they still owe the scumbags on that side of the border. And then they sell them, right? By the hour, by the day, whatever, to get that money back. Or the people work in the worst conditions on earth, but you're going to pay off the people that smuggled you across the border. The last administration, when they held the hearing on it, they asked the czar, what's the deal with the colored wristbands? He said, what are you talking about, wristbands? What do you mean? Like, the guy that was supposed to be heading up the entire department didn't realize that this was the system being used. If you've ever been anywhere near that border, those things are laying on the ground everywhere. Because once they meet the pimp and all that, they take that stuff off. They're everywhere. It looks like you just left the nightclub. It's disturbing.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. I was down in Nogales. Was it a year and a half ago? Something like that. I was down in Nogales visiting somebody, and I seen those. I was like, dude,
they're everywhere.
Was there a rave here last night? Yeah.
That's the closest border. That's the border crossing that I'm closest to. The one that I go to once a week to bring back gamma hydroxybutyric acid.
Yeah.
By the 2-liter bottle up my bum. I got a baby oil bottle up there every time I come back across. It'll only take 1,000 trips and I will be Diddy.
Yeah.
Here in the UK, we have people trying to cross the English Channel. Wow. Terrible
Wow.
stretch of water and a very busy shipping route. Wow. I did not know. That didn't even occur to me. Right? Kind of our
That's
Guadalupe
Game
River.
of Thrones. Yeah.
Do you know that the first person to swim the English Channel, I believe, was a woman, and she was wearing a Rolex. That was one of the first big claims of fame for a waterproof watch. Yep.
Nice.
I forgot I had sound effects.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
I have some British sound effects too.
Yeah, that sounded a lot like Mick, man.
Yeah, I got some British sound effects. Yeah.
Children are not for sale is what we all need to be screaming online and get the message out 110%. And the rush is the faster we shut that down,
James.
The less likely we are to lose more of the world's kids into this system that the world seems to know about. Yesterday, when we were talking about Macron, we pulled up a picture of his presidential photo. And in that presidential photo was a book written by a pederast, right? We're in a pretty weird place right now in the world. We really are. But I think that it's all about to blow, man. I really do. I think it is all about to blow.
Yeah.
And as far as Bill Gates goes, there could be 9 directions that you're asking me, because there are so many good conspiracy theories out there about Bill Gates.
Man, I was gonna pull up some Bill Gates stuff today. He's my old boss. You know that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I used to work for Bill Gates.
Work for him. Yep.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe tomorrow I'll have some Bill Gates stuff. I'll see what's going on with old Billy Boy.
He very much would like to cut down the population of planet Earth. That's a real big thing for him.
Yep. And I mean, that's, part of that group, Yep.
Because that's what we need is a lot less humans.
I don't know enough on it to speak on it, but
I do know this. I do know that if you took every single person on Earth and you gave them 6 feet, right? 6 feet, you could put them in Rhode Island. I read that. You could take every person on Earth, give them 6 feet of their own, and they would all fit in Rhode Island. If you fly from one side of the United States to the other, I want you to do that and then tell me that we're overcrowded, because you only see lights about 4 times, and the rest of the time that you fly, there ain't shit. It's just nothing but wide open expanse as far as the eye can see. The fruited plain, right? Amber waves of grain. I love this country. I do too, man. Boy, I love this country. It just needs an enema. We need to get a bunch of people in there that aren't politicians. Let's get some plumbers. Let's get some, some tattoo artists, and get some people in there that are half-ass normal to get together and start making some laws that are common sense, right? Things that make sense. I think the big problem became when we started, and both sides of the border, both sides of the aisle, when we allowed professional politicians. I used to go, when I was a kid, I was in my 20s. I was super into the whole political thing. And I used to go and watch the politicians whenever they had town hall meetings, or anything like that. And I would always go and raise my hand, and when, you wait in line for your question, and everybody would ask the most political. And I would say to them, how much is a gallon of milk? That was always my go-to question. And when they would look at me like weird, I'd go, no. Okay. How about a dozen eggs? Because you ain't been to a store. You ain't gone shopping. You've done nothing in so long. You got people that shop for you. You haven't even driven a car in 25 years. What the hell am I voting for you for? You can't tell me how much a gallon of milk costs.
Yeah.
And it's not it's the craziest job in the world. I use this example a lot, but if you live and see your kid plays Little League, the taxpayers are going to fly you to Washington because you got a bill you got to vote on. So you go and, shake hands and cut your deal, get your earmarks for Honolulu. And then you hop your butt back on a plane to fly back home because you're not going to miss your kid's game. Then you're going to jump back on a plane and go back because you got another bill you got to sign the next. The hell are we doing, man?
Yeah.
We're just throwing cash away like it's we printed on trees. The last time that I did research, they estimated that we were overspending, not spending, overspending $6 million a minute. That's how much deeper into debt we're going. $6 million a minute. Could you give me hour and a half of that debt? I'm not being funny either. Give me an hour and a half of that much money and let a couple of dumb convicts show you what they could do with that much cash to get people off dope, to close that border. Seriously, the way they're hemorrhaging money, they've never audited the Pentagon. It's the largest body of anything spending money in the world, and they've never done an audit. So we don't really know what the hell goes on. If it would be hysterically funny if it wasn't so sad.
Yeah. Vinny Paulton, he was wearing a hoodie.
To do anything right takes time. The rush creates an opportunity for a lot of coincidental mistakes that don't deserve to be sacrificed for the cause. Maybe months, not weeks, would be more responsible. Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. Unless you're one of the 6-year-olds that comes across that border in the next month, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe the mother of one of those 6-year-olds who comes across the border in the next month. And you'll get in maybe 2-3 days later. And then you'll try to get up with the cartels to find out where they took your kid. And they'll say, don't trip, we got her. After you put 3 weeks in working at this spot, we're going to reunite you with your family. I don't know about you. I'm willing to take any kind of collateral damage necessary to shut that shit down. I'm sorry. It's, we've been letting this faucet go full bore for so long. And the biggest reason for this huge show of force to stop the faucet in South America, to stop the caravans of people that are walking, because they pay attention big time. And right now what they're doing is going, screw that, man. We're going to walk 3,000 miles, get across that border, sign up for all of the free shit that they're supposed to give us, and they're going to pull the plug on it and deport us anyway. Watch how fast this changes. But you got to show the world exactly what you're doing at that border. And you can't do that in a anything without full force. It's got to be shock and awe, and that may bum you out, but it's for the
I agree with Beta to an extent on some things. That's the best way to go. I used to have this saying, I used to have this saying, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I used to really, regarding tattooing, and I know that's not as important as the border, but
same principles.
With a lot of things that it is good to be safe, but we have waited so long. And so many things got reversed after Trump was in the first time. And and just regarding the border, it's just one of those things that does happen, has to happen today. Now, why they have Dr. Phil out there with the microphone, I don't agree with that. I was going to play that clip. He's out there while these guys are getting arrested. And, the guy's like, hey, you look like Dr. Phil. And he's like, yeah, how do you know me? Trying to be tough. That we don't need that. We're not. We're not trying to demean people and to punk them out while they're heading to jail or anything like that. Just grab them, see who they are, or see who they are, then grab them. Not the way I said it first. Sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But we don't need Dr. Phil out there. Because then there's just creates too much fodder for
Dr.
the left.
Phil's a jackwagon. Let's keep it real.
For the critics, what's that?
He's a jackass to begin with. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I know people. Oddly enough, and I should let them tell the story. There's someone on the lifeboat that everybody knows who actually has experience. The one went on the show and did all of that. And I've gotten to hear a lot about Dr. Phil from someone that has gone through the whole process. Guy's just how did we figure out who Dr. Phil was?
Oprah
Winfrey. Right. That's all you need to know, man.
Yeah.
Who's Dr. Phil? He is a doctor, right? And I think he probably got a mail order PhD, but he's a doctor that does a bunch of interviews and he talks to people and he was Oprah's favorite therapist, kind of a deal. And he's just a jackwagon is what he is. Honestly, he's kind of a jackwagon.
Damn, I don't have that Dr. Phil clip. I thought I had it put up. Yeah, he's out there. It's stupid, dude. He's trying to be like what's his name, To Catch a Predator, Chris Hansen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chris Hansen. Yeah. TCAP. too big a community now, bro. It's an acronym. You don't have to call it to catch a predator anymore. We're way past that. It's TCAP.
TCAP. Okay.
Oh yeah. No, dude, that's
the more you know. The more you know.
That's a ripping community, man. The to catch a predator community is it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I do want to make an announcement. I'm going to be on the Sean Atwood program this afternoon, so make sure you catch that. I'm going to be going back on. And,
no, I'm just kidding. I don't have a booing sound effect. No, I love Sean Atwood. I'm just playing. I would never boo
He did
that.
earn his PhD from the University of North Texas, but he is not licensed to practice in any state. Well,
he hasn't had to.
Then that makes two of us because I am not licensed to practice in any state.
Yeah.
I'm in the lobby for my first professional tattoo, says Love Mama Bear. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're in Wyoming, you're in deep trouble with us. I'll tell you that right now.
Montana.
Did I say Wyoming earlier too?
3 times. Yeah.
Well, I don't call it dope for nothing. That stuff did some damage. You know what I'm saying?
The next Mayhem Show, you're just going to see me there now accepting applications for co-hosts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, dude. I'm slipping. I'm slipping. I'm willing to admit
you're the boss. You're the boss.
I'm willing to admit it. I'm not half the man I used to be. No, but you know what? I am losing weight. I'm getting closer back down, trying to do something about my back, man. It's just this has now been going on for so long that something's got to be done. And I'm looking back to the journals. And
do you stretch every morning?
I do yoga every single day at 4 a.m.
Oh, wow.
4 a.m. and yeah, I'm super, super into it. I don't miss yoga. I do it every day.
Oh, wow. That's cool, man.
That's how I start. That's how I start my day. If I don't, I would really be bad off. But the problem is, I mean, you've done yoga. Like I can't hold poses for any length of time right now. Like I can stretch, but I'm probably doing 10 seconds and everything. And I got videos up of me doing, minute, holding poses for minutes. But I'm in a bad spot. Damn, I'm in a tight spot. Love that movie, dude.
Yeah.
Love that movie. All right. This was fun.
Go ahead. Yes. So, man, I'm super excited, man. The show's been rocking and rolling. We had a good show today. Yep.
This 2 hours went by so fast. So, you know what? I never finish a thought. So what I was saying was I was looking back through my journaling at when I was not having back problems, because I write about all of that crap. And I went on this really long stretch with, I always had back pain, but it was like I rate it every day, and it stays around a 3 or a 4. Now I'm living on an 8. I just can't do it. The last time I was there, my weight was 10 pounds less than I've been. So I don't know that that's the exact same thing or if it's going to translate to that, but I'm going to get back down to where that weight was.
That's cool, man. Yeah. I could probably shed a few pounds.
Jane Aldrich is great. Is it me or is Oprah responsible for most of the charlatans who have come down the pike in the last decade? Well, with the exception of Casper and myself, I think pretty much you nailed that. You and I came from prison. But all of the other charlatans seem to have been, she seems to have a hand in bringing a lot of people to light that are super questionable, doesn't she? Oh,
she does. Else? And I don't know. It's just because she's brought so many. So her ratio, but I think her ratio is pretty bad. She's bad. She's bad. And then a lot of the people that she just hung out with or talked about how cool they were, like the Harvey Weinsteins of the world, right? She may not have introduced him to the world, but she sure as crap was tight with him, right? Yeah. Which is just ugly. Got to go to the next appointment, says Kristen Melinda. Well, you have a good one. I'm going to be live on the lifeboat at 5 minutes after, in 1 hour, exactly 1 hour from now, I'll be live on the lifeboat. All right. And then shortly after that, I'm going to be on the Atwood channel. But this I'll be in the audience. I'll be in the chat. Yeah. This has been a hoot. Don't go anywhere, Casper. Let's talk. But I'm not. Between now and the next time we see you, tell somebody about the Morning Mayhem Show. God bless, peeps. We'll see you. That'd be awesome. Mahalo.